Hello, welcome back. This is James Herrera from Axure. Today we're going to look at a roster management information system. The purpose of this tutorial is to show you how you can put up some ideas when you're planning on developing a project. Although I've got experience of how this type of application works, so that is a plus on my side. But generally, if you don't really know how a rota management information system is or how it works, is a rota or a roster is what you use to schedule staff on a particular shift. So if you work in an industry that's put people on shift for different shifts, maybe early shift, morning shift, afternoon shift, like that, or night shift, you can create a system that can manage people's schedule, which means people's time when they start and when they finish. And you can also have a system whereby you can allow them to clock in using the system as well, and also help them to generate their timesheet. So the purpose of this tutorial is to show you an overview of how the system works. The system is divided into two parts. It's going to be a rota section, and also there will be a section whereby a user will be able to clock in and clock in to make sure that they've arrived at the shift on time or late, depending on what criteria or conditions that you've set in the system. So this has been developed in Axure. I'm not going to show you how this thing is developed because it takes lots of time to actually create this prototype and a lot of thinking. So it has been created already. So I'll just show you how it's done. This is the home page in Axure, which practically just say login and clock. Now, the reason why these two things are separated, because I've seen a lot of applications like this. They just have login, and then when you log in, then that's when you need to clock in. And it's just unnecessary, because I think if you are developing a system specifically for your staff or for your employee to log in their hours, their time, they don't need to necessarily log in at the same time. They just need to clock in, and then if they want to access more information about the system, then they can log in using username and password. For them to clock in to say, okay, I'm here for shift today, and I've finished my shift, they don't necessarily have to log in. That is why I've separated the two functions or features. So we have the login and we have the clocking, and underneath it says login, click to access the rota, which means you now access the rota into more detail. But if you are just clocking in and clocking out and you don't have anything to do with checking on the rota, then you can just use that button, clock in and clock out, which is very easy. Now I've created a sitemap section for it as well. So we have the clocking page and we have the login page. Now the clocking page, I try to make sure that one of the problem that people have in such system is that a lot of people are using the system. Many people who work shift pattern kind of work, many of them sometimes do not remember username and password. So how do you make it very simple for your user to interact with the system that you've developed? So I've made sure that, okay, this is a clock, and this clock is a departmental clock. So imagine you work for a big organization who has several branches, which can be called department as well. So imagine you have 10 of them, and everyone is going to have their username and password. It's just going to be complicated. So I said, okay, you know what? The best thing is to have it a departmental kind of thing. And because the rota will be linked with the clocking system, then it's not really important for every user to have to enter their username and their password when they want to clock into the system. All they can just do is just to select a drop down list, and then they can they can select their name and the clocking. Now this will be linked with the rota. So if you select your department and you select your name, the system is going to check on that day within the rota if you are part of that list, and then the name is going to be displayed here. So you're just going to select your name and then you clock in, which is going to be very easier for even people who are over 40 or 50 years of working shift pattern work will be able to use the system. The second thing is for them to be able to log in which this will require more, username and password, because at the end of the day, they will still need to like have kind of an authentication, and you want to make sure that the right person is accessing the system. So a little bit different, but still work the same way. It's still the usual username and password, and then you log in, and then you clock out. You might have the reset button, or you might not have. But the way I've designed the system, I want to make it to simulate an effect of a desktop application. I don't want it to look as if you are you browsing through a website. So that is it. Now the main application, it's this. As you can see, there are some different shadings here, and that is because I've made use of masters. On our previous tutorial, we talked about masters, creating them and things like that. So I've made use of masters and dynamic panels on this prototype. So let's just head into previewing this work on our browser and see how it is. Now, this is the project. Let's go back to the home page. Now, the idea is for the user to say they want to clock in. Now, staff comes in and say, okay, I'm on for shift today for 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. or I'm on for shift for 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. and I want to clock in. So you just come on the shift, you enter the system, and then you click clock in. Once you click clock in, then you select you select your department, and you select your name, and then you clock in. Once you hit clock in, a pop-up box, a mother pop-up box display will say you have successfully clocked in to start your shift at this hours, and that's it. Now, if you want to clock out, same procedure. You go back, clock, select department, select name, and clock out. And then it says you have successfully clocked out at the end of your shift. Your total work hours today is 8, blah, blah, blah. So which makes it more engaging and interactive with the user. So they actually know what hours they work for that day. And they can query if there's any problem immediately with the manager or the supervisor or the team lead, whatever you call somebody who manages the rota or who manages the staff within your organization. So that is just simple. Clock in and clock out. You don't need to access your information, change your password, change when you are clocking in into a system. You're just clocking and you are just clocking out. That is it. So the purpose of this system is to provide them with that simple interface to interact with. Now, let's assume they want to clock in and they want to do more things with the system. And then the same procedure, you log in, you enter your username, you enter your password, and then you log in. Once you've logged into the system, what we see here now is the complete information system about the rota management. Now, immediately you log into the system, you see you see staff who are on shift, and then you see their position, their allocation for the day can be, okay, this staff is going to be doing a specific task today, and then the type of shift that they are on. So you can have different code for your shift types and everything. So the next thing we need to do next is to look at it and say, okay, now you've logged in. We have the department name and we have the department location and we have the current date display. So these are the things that will be important for the user to see. And they can see who is on for the morning shift, for the afternoon shift, and for the night shift. And you can see staff that are on today, staff that are on tomorrow, staff that are on maybe this Saturday if you are really particular on a weekend kind of shift, and staff that are on Sunday. Now, another section of this application is we're going to be managing different types of information. We're going to be managing the rota, the schedule, the submission of availability, the requesting of days off, the timesheet, viewing the clock record and the pay to date, and of course the settings. Now, the roster or the rota, as some might call it, is for you to actually see who is on that rota. The page is still not finished yet, so I'm still working on these pages. and we'll be able to see who is working on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and we'll be able to see when they finish and when they start. And just beside here, we'll have the staff list, and you'll be able to see, okay, this staff is on for this particular shift, this staff is on for that particular shift, which is very simple. And a manager or a team lead can edit this information very easily, and everything is updated. Now, the next thing is to look at schedule. Now, schedule is something that it will be very handy in a rota management information system, because you want to make sure that your staff or your employees knows when they are working, and even if they are not at work when the rota is out or something like that, they can potentially log into this system and print their schedules, their daily schedule, their weekly schedule, their monthly schedule, or they can provide a custom date themselves and say, okay, I want to see my schedule for this particular day or for this particular week, and all this information will be returned, and the user is going to see, okay, I'm on for this shift for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they can print this schedule and view it, and it's very handy. It is a feature that will be part of this roster management system. I've seen a lot of systems that has been designed poorly. Really, they don't even have print schedules functionality. Now, the other thing is we need to look at the submission of the availability. Now, the submission of availability is different, because the industry that this roster management system is targeted towards the industry that works with people who have flexibility. So if you are not available for a particular day's shift, or you don't want to work on a particular day, you can specify on this system using this page and say, okay, on this particular month and this particular day, I don't want to work this day, or these are the shift I want to work on this particular day. And you can select each of the shifts here and say, okay, I want to work this early shift, I want to work night, I want to work, I'm not available for that day, so you will be able to say, okay, these are the shifts that you are available for. And the purpose of this is when the team leader or the manager or the supervisor is preparing the rota for the month or for the week, if you've specified that you are not available for any shift for that day, then he or she will not be able to book you for shift on that day. So the system will give a prompt, this person is not available to accept this shift because he has said in the submission of the availability that he is not available. Or if the manager wants to book you for, let's say, 7 to 3 shift and you are available for a 2 to 10 shift, then the system is going to prompt and say, oh, this person is not available for early shift, it can only do a day shift. So that is how the concept of this submission of availability. So it gives you less stress, and your staff or your employees can be at home and they can submit their availability. They don't need to call you, or they don't need to send an email. They can just make the submission of availability very easy and very simple, straightforward. Now, another section of this is requesting the days off, which is similar to the submission of availability. But the difference from the submission of availability is that the submission of availability, you are telling the system that you are available to work on this day and you are not available to work on this day. Now, for the submission of request days off, what you're telling the system is, I am not available on this day at all. Other days I am available, but on this particular day I want it off. I am not available. So you just practically have to say you are available for this day, and you select the reason why you are not available or what you are not available for and things like that. The next page that is blank for now, I've not talked about it, is the timesheet page. The idea of this page is to generate automatic timesheet using the clock-in record of the staffs. So when you clock in for your shift and you clock out for your shift, all this information will be collected from the clock-in record, which will be from the clock-in database, into the timesheet. and this timesheet will be generated for you. So at the end of the month, you don't necessarily have to fill your timesheet anymore. So your timesheet will be here displayed. All the shifts you've done, your start time and the end time, and any enhancement that you are due to be paid for will be counted as well. And that is it. Same thing will be for the clock record. It's going to be the clock record as well. You'll see when you clock in and when you clock out, and that's it. Now, the interesting thing about this Rota management system that I've introduced into this is this pay to date. Now, most systems that I've seen does not have this pay to date information. Now, it is interesting for you to show to your staff or your employee that, okay, they've worked for this X amount of weeks, X amount of days, and they should have this anticipation that, okay, you know what, I'm going to get paid this amount of money at the end of the day. And if they are going to get paid this amount of money, you need to show them that this is what they are going to earn potentially. So the concept of this page is to show the employee or the staff that this is the amount they are going to earn for that particular month. And I've put some information here, your pay this month, and then you'll be able to see what hours you've worked, which is the unit, and your hourly pay, which is the 10.50, and then your total. But look at one thing again. Now, we are doing a pay to date. It will be nice for us to have a real-time pay slip generation whereby you'll be able to see your tax and national insurance, pension contribution, workplace pension, and any other deduction that your organization is going to take from your pay. It will be handy and very good for us to have it. But I don't want us to be carried away thinking that, we're going to just have a pay slip ready immediately. So that's the reason why I've included here and said excluding taxes, national insurance number, pension contribution, and so the staff knows that this is just a pay advice. It's not exactly what they are going to be paid. And also there's a warning message here. We say, please know this is not your pay slip. Pay slip are sent at the end of the month. So they actually know that this information they are getting is just like an overview of what they could potentially earn, which is excluding the taxes, the national insurance, pension contribution, and so on. Now, another section of it is this settings. Now, I've made use of some interactions here, which is the mouse hover thing, and then on click as well, which makes the menu disappear. Now, if I put my mouse over, I can see this settings section, which is the general, the localization, bank holidays, work hours, cost calculation, roster rules, back-to-back shift, change your password, set shift constraint, set employee constraints, and logout. Well, I'll take it from the bottom. The bottom part of it will be, okay, yeah, you log into the system, you'll be able to log out, which is simple. And you'll be able to set employee constraint, maybe what the employee can do for that particular day or what they cannot do for a particular shift. You also set a shift constraint, what could happen within a shift and what cannot happen here. That's the idea of this shift constraint. You'll be able to change your password, and you'll be able to have that new layer of security when you forget your password, or when you think someone have your password. You'll be able to set rules on back-to-back shifts, so you don't want somebody to do maybe early shift and then the next day they do an early shift, so there will be rules there that you'll be able to set. The roster rule as well, what's going to happen within this roster, how many night shift can we have within a rota, sort of kind of rules. And then you have a cost calculation, the work hours, how many bank holidays within the particular day, and how do you know who is going to work on these bank holidays and things like that. So, and then you have just a general section whereby you can just make changes to maybe the look and feel of the application or the notification that you get, and how you set your localization, the currencies, and then the pay rate and advice and things like that. So this is what you kind of see when it comes to developing a rota management system. The practical thing, or the practical features that you want to expect, is you want to see a page to manage the rota. a page where your staff or employee can submit their schedules, a page where they can submit their availability request, a place where they can put in for their days of request, a page where they can view their timesheet, a page where they can see their clocking record, a page where they can see their pay to date, and also a settings page. Now, this settings page, some of these settings will only be available to some super users. So, for example, only maybe the managers may be able to see some of this feature, but every employee, regardless of their position or the role or the privileges within the system, will be able to see menu changes, such as the change password and log out menu. So this is just an overview of how this information system plan to work. It's currently undergoing a development process as well, and I've kind of developed a database, rough database sketch for this as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this short introduction of this Rota management information system. If you have any question on this system, or you think anything is lacking in this system, drop it at the comment below and I will answer your question. At the moment, this is a brainstorming idea stage. It's not finished. It's near finished, but there are still some little adjustments to be done here and there in this application. I hope you've enjoyed your piece of information today, and you'll be able to learn something. Drop me a comment below and I will answer your question. Once again, thank you for watching, and see you in the next tutorial. Bye.